And this is a lesson to us all. You can do a lot of great things in life. Sign the Declaration of Independence, be at the Constitutional Convention, be a vice president, but you mess up once, and that's your legacy, so be careful like that. All right, redistricting of Pennsylvania, congressional seats, Washington, D.C., you're a congressman, congresswoman. The majority party in each chamber draws the map. The map drawn by the Senate is voted on the Senate, and it passes because, see point 1, the majority party in that chamber drew the map. Voted on by the State House, and it passes every time because the majority party drew the map. It's then signed by the governor. So, for congressional districts, and this is done behind closed doors, they can go out and get public comment if they want to. They don't have to. In 2011, the legislature voted first consideration and second consideration on those maps when they had no description of any of the districts. All the descriptions were the same. Quote, consisting of a portion of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They voted to pass that twice, never knew what the districts were, and then 17 hours before the final vote, they got to see the maps. So even the legislature has no genuine input on the maps. All right, a second process, State House and State Senate. There is a 5-member legislative reapportionment commission. Yes, it's the wrong name, it should be redistricting, but it's not the only way they're wrong. 5-member commission consisting of House and Senate leader, majority, and minority leaders in the House and Senate. Those 4, and right now until you guys get really stronger, those are going to be Democrats and Republicans. So 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, pick the chair. That's going to be the 5th member of the committee. And if they can't agree, and they can't, and I only say that because they never have, then the Supreme Court picks the chair. And the party affiliation of the chair determines which party is going to get to gerrymander. Now, this last session we had from University of Pittsburgh, Nordenberg, who was a good and decent, good government person, and the maps in Pennsylvania were not as bad as they have been in the past. But there's no guarantee you're not going to get a hyper-political hack in that position. In 2030, when the redistricting is done again, 2031, after the 2030 census, the Democrats will, unless something untoward happens, the Democrats will have a majority in the Supreme Court. The Democrats are counting on having that majority, and they believe that majority will protect them from a Republican gerrymander if the Republicans hold the pencil, and will put their imprimatur on a Democratic gerrymander if the Democrats hold the pencil. In the House in Pennsylvania, it is the Democratic leadership that is blocking redistricting reform, is blocking our bills. In the Senate, for variety, it's the Republican Party. Both parties gerrymander. Neither party is interested in open, free, and fair elections. They are interested in gaining and maintaining power. At the party leadership level, that is all they want. That is all they care about. So the problem with gerrymandering, you guys know this. You get safe districts, 40%. Pennsylvania, there is no opponent. You win the primary, you're in. Lack of bipartisan compromise. And this has gotten worse during my lifetime. Increased polarization and extremism. Entrenched party ideologies create gridlock. Too much power for party leaders. The party leaders in Harrisburg, they draw the districts. Those distorted districts protect incumbents. The majority leaders control the rules. The rules lead to unfair procedural processes and block reform. And you're in this dysfunctional knot this cycle of dysfunction and power. Leaders control the caucus budget. The caucus budget in Pennsylvania is more than half of the entire state budget. This is money spent by political parties. Taxpayers' money spent by political parties on patronage jobs. All right. Now in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, we have a lot of elections, and every election for the state house, state senate, everybody's going to run on responsible, saving money, and efficiency, and get rid of waste, abuse, fraud. There are 2 IT departments for the state government. One for the Democrats, one for the Republicans. There are multiple printers, 2 printers in Harrisburg. One for the Democratic bill, and a different printer for the Republican bills. These are political patronage jobs that we're paying for through our tax dollars. And they run on government efficiency. I'm thinking there's some duplication there. I really am. So, caucus personnel, legislative agenda, budget negotiations, flow of major campaign donations. That's how you get to be a party leader. You're good at raising money, and you're smart about doling it out, so you get elected as party leader. One leader or major donor matters more, outweighs the interest of everybody in this room, of every registered voter in Pennsylvania, of every citizen in Pennsylvania. We do not count. All right, so the solution, House Bill 31 and Senate Bill 131. And I will tell you now that there is a snowball has a better chance in a hot place than these bills do of getting passed this year. There's less than a week of legislative session days scheduled. The session ends in November. They're not on the same work schedule that we are. So, if you get any newsletters from your representatives or your senators about legislation they just introduced, call their office and say, how are you going to get that in if there's only a few days of voting sessions? When's that going to have a hearing? And I asked them, did you get leadership permission to get the bill a hearing? They have to get permission from the party leader in order for the bill to be heard in committee. Party leaders pick the committee chairs. They pick obedient people for those positions. It's worse than you think.
Yeah.
It really is. So, three-legged stool of stability and balance. We want an independent redistricting commission, independent of the legislature, in the selection of the commissioners and the operation of the commission, and the maps those commissioners draw become the maps. Unless there's a court challenge, and by the way, independent redistricting commissions have a better record of avoiding court challenges than do maps drawn by politicians, because those maps by independent commissions are fairer. It's less to hang your hat on for a lawsuit. Transparency. I told you about the maps in 2011, 17 hours before the final vote. No description of what the boundaries were, and it passed those 2 sessions anyway. All the meetings of the commissioners under our bill would have to be in public. They would have to be around the state, in easily accessible areas. There have been instances where you have public meetings in Pennsylvania, mandated, and they're in state parks, way out there, that nobody can get to. But they're a public meeting. Prioritize mapping criteria. We're going to have a list of criteria, and it's in the bill, of how often you can split a district, how often you can split a municipality, a county, and there's going to be criteria for, we have criteria in there for protecting communities of interest, including minority communities. And if you diverge, if the commission diverges from that criteria, and it is hard to adhere to all of them because they're in tension. You do one thing, you do another thing. So if they diverge from anything, they have to explain why they do that. The maps have to be available before they're adopted. There has to be public comment from around the state and multiple times on the maps from the community. It is a transparent process. the way it works now, the maps, you wake up one morning and these are your new maps. What district am I in today? So, 11-member commission drawn from 3 pools. 4 pools from the party with the largest registration in the state, currently Democrats. 4 commissioners from the party with the second largest registration in the state, currently Republicans. And then 3 voters not registered with the 2 largest parties. So, Forward Party, Green Party, Independent Party, Birthday Party. There are people in Lancaster who write in their legislation that they're members of the Birthday Party. I think they're unaffiliated, really. All right, commission to reflect geographic, ethnic, cultural aspects of the state. Now, you're not going to get 11 people that are going to represent the entire racial and geographic and economic community in Pennsylvania. That's not going to happen. But this bill tries to address it. Until this last redistricting cycle, all the maps were drawn by white men of about my age. Give or take a decade. Take a decade. I'm not giving any decades anymore. So this time around, the 2 women were involved, 1 woman of color. Just an accident of who happens to be in those positions. Our bill actually tries to address that and make sure there is representation, some diversity. Who's eligible? And this is important. Voters. Have to be a voter, not just a resident. Voters with the same party registration for 5 years. Voters who have voted in no less than 2 of the last 3 statewide elections. Ineligible. Candidates for holders of elected office. Political appointees. Members of a governing body of a political party, a political campaign, or a PAC. Registered lobbyists. Employees, consultants, or close family members of all of the above. And there are other restrictions too. What we are trying to do is remove the conflict of interest of hyper-partisan people drawing the maps in favor of their party or their candidates. So, selection process in our bill. And by our bill's going to be reintroduced. There may be some improvements along the way, but this is the selection process as of today. First 6 members. As of January 1st, the year of the redistricting commission, be the 2030, it'll be advertised that this commission is being formed. It'll be in whatever newspapers remain and on the internet and elsewhere and on TV and stuff like that. So it's going to be generally information that this commission is being formed and how to apply. And there's an application process and there are criteria. Then the State Ethics Commission goes over those, vets those applications, and picks what they believe to be the 180 best, 60 from each pool. The House and Senate majority minority leaders may each strike 2 from each pool. I don't like the cut of their jib. Yeah, it's like peremptory challenges in a jury trial. You don't have to give a reason. Don't want that person. They may know them to be politically active, may not like them. Who knows? But they get to do that. So that's their sole role in this process. Then at a public event, it's a random drawing of the remaining 3 pools to get the first 6. Okay? So it's applications culled down to 180, 60 in each pool. A couple challenges by party leaders, and then at a public event, there's a random drawing. Okay, the next members, numbers 7 through 11. The 6 members that come out of the random drawing select these members, and what they're trying to do is seek the balance. There may be a skill set they need, there may be a racial component that needs to be represented, or age, something, but we'll try to affect those balances with those selections.
Tony, did they select from the pool?
From the pool, yes. And it's not a random selection, that they're looking through the applications of the 60 best remaining. So it's a constitutional amendment, kind of complicated process, but this is the timeline that remains because, as I said, snowball, hot place, not going to happen this year. In 27, 28, this legislation will have to pass the House and Senate in Harrisburg. then pass the House and Senate again in early 29. Then it would go to referendum in November of 29, and it would be in place. In the census year, you set up the IRC, they start getting their training, and then they draw the maps in 2031. So that is the very narrow window that we have right now. But, we're still here, we're still working on it, we're still pushing for it. All right, is redistricting reform possible? Is it really possible? Is it an impossible dream? Why would party leaders give up that power? And I would argue that it's in their best interest. Party leaders control the redistricting process. Fine. In 2030, which party is going to have the House majority, the Senate majority, the Supreme Court majority, the PA's governor's office? Ask your legislator. If you're talking to your legislator about this issue, ask them, what happens to you if the other guys hold the pencil? What's going to happen to you? Because both parties are going to be in a position to make the other party a permanent majority for the next 10 years. And that is what party leaders of both parties want to do. They want to make it easy for themselves to get reelected. Now the problem with this, I mentioned the Democrats are counting on the Democratic majority in the Supreme Court. I don't know the cholesterol count of all the Supreme Court justices. I don't. What, does anybody here? Is there a doctor for that? We don't know. Things happen. Ask Lindsey Graham. Stuff goes on. It's life. It's life. But they're counting on the status quo. What's true today is going to be true in 9 years. That is what they're banking on. All right. Maybe it's only a 5% chance that something might happen and it might upset the balance in the Supreme Court. But things that happen 5% of the time happen a lot. They happen a lot. So, our mantra is let the people decide. This whole process was adopted in 1968 when the voting age was 21. The youngest voter in 1969 is now 79. Don't check my math, it might be 80 by now. Fewer than 9% of Pennsylvania. I'm not denigrating people of that age. Come on, I am that age. Fewer than 9% of Pennsylvanians are in that age group. So, 91% of Pennsylvanians never had a say on this issue or this process. And who knows? Let the people decide. Maybe they want politicians drawing the maps. Who knows? I say, let the people decide. Polls would indicate that over 70% of Pennsylvanians want an independent redistricting commission. So, that is the short drill. Thank you very much. And anybody have any questions? Yes?
I was at one of your speeches or forums at Crispus Attucks.
Oh, yes.
And you had given us papers to reach out to the Democratic majority for the Senate, whatever house. Was that successful? Are you still asking people to do that?
We have met with the Senate Majority Leader, Matt Bradford, and we have met with Joanna McClinton, the Speaker, and they are, the politest I could be is they are not interested. Oh no, but it's for our own good. It's for our own good because this is what Matt Bradford told us. Oh no, this is a federal issue. Okay, the State House and State Senate districts are a federal issue? How is that? They don't want to do it. They're not going to do it unless enough public support bubbles up and forces them to do it. I'll be around for a little while. If anybody has any questions, you can catch me then.
All right. Oh, thank you. Great.